it was, I always cherish my time there.
Yeah. Well, I know what you mean, and it's funny, within the past few years, I started keeping a travel journal too. Because I was like, oh, right now, I'll use my memory, but then I thought, no, I started taking, and I love looking back, just little things like that. Oh my God, that's right, I forgot I saw this building, or, had this little experience.
That's
it's a great.
It's a huge deal. I use it, I do the same thing, and it's one of those things where, I remember when I started in 2005, and I just, just a couple of notes, and really it was more just to like, hey, here's the city you were at, and you stayed here, and here's a great place to eat dinner. And then it's more, you can kind of tell it has a lot with my journey in global, and it has a lot of my journey with my boys and my wife, and it's fun to kind of, because you go, oh, that's right. And actually just merely writing it down, to me, helps cement the memory, so it's not just that I experience it, but if you write about it, then you go, oh, okay, well, that's right, that did happen, and then you're able to kind of, it might be revisionist history, but it's still, at least you're capturing it, whereas before I was like, I don't know, what did we do on that trip? And now I go back and go, oh, that's right, we did do that. Yeah. Now I'm getting that, it's freshening up that memory that's buried somewhere in the back of my brain.
Exactly. When you were at school there, did you work for the Daily, play sports, anything like that? Involved in any clubs or?
No, I was. We did some intramural stuff. I was in the law. I can't remember what the law society was. I did that for a little bit. A lot of my. It's interesting. I didn't do a lot of outside activities as it related to I was pretty active with my friends. The thing that was really interesting for me at the U is that I was able to, when I decided to be a political science major, that track gave me the ability to do a lot of independent research and study, which was really interesting for me. As I mentioned, I got a chance to go down to Olympia for a term, which was really, I think, insightful. I did two independent research projects, which were papers, which were, one was on the Office of Marine Safety, which was it was a separate office that the state of Washington put together after the Exxon Valdez, and then it got subsumed into the Department of Ecology. But that ability really gave me the opportunity to really look into the maritime trade. If not, I would have just taken another political science, European governments post World War II, and that. Which I really enjoyed. I love my political science classes and my history classes, but being able to have that capacity to do independent research kind of really allowed me to dig into something that was not a formal topic. Yeah. There weren't a lot of classes. I think the closest one I took an environmental policy class that had some conversations about the Clean Water Act and some other things, but that to me was really important because it gave me the opportunity to go. I remember interviewing people in the maritime trade, and my thesis was, it was on the Oil Pollution Act of 1990, but that's right, I also got to do a paper on complex incident response because I was interested in, what the impact of technology on what they call normal accidents, and when there's a reliance on technology, that it would actually, the reliance and confirmation of technology kind of countermanded human nature and what they see, and or what a human would do in that situation versus what the fact that there's a blinking light that says everything's okay as you're running into the, as you're grounding the boat, that type of thing. So that to me was a really interesting piece to tell that major. So I remember that being vividly because I got to spend a lot of time running around campus and
that sounds like a lot of fun.
It was for me. It was, at least because, again, I had friends who were business majors, and three of my friends. I had two other friends that were liberal arts majors, and they both went to law school right out. And my other 4 or 5 friends were all IT guys, and they went to work right out. Yeah. And I was the guy who was talking about working on the water, making literally probably a third of what they were.
Oh, sure.
And me thinking, what in the hell this was, what they taught. That was a really terrible idea to be a political science. But it all worked out. So like I said, that was fun time because it also, again, I think, part and parcel to who we are global. There's a
Sure.
little bit of people not expecting things, if you kind of doing something a little different and working out in the end.
Yeah. What about your boys? Do you expect them to go into this field?
I would hope so. I would hope so. You know, it's interesting. My dad's one of 7
Wow.
kids, and all of them, to some degree, all but one to some degree, works in the maritime industry. And as you can imagine, of those 7, there's I think I'm one of 21 or 22 grandkids of that generation, and I'm the only one in the maritime industry.
Really? Wow.
Which I find interesting,
Yeah.
and on some level maybe sad, because
Sure.
it's because it, you know, despite the fact that it put food on the table, it's just an interesting trade. But you know, so I look at that like, well, the odds are, you know, stacked, you know, against my kids. They come down here. We have Christmas parties and they're down here all the time. I've got their, you know, they've grown up in the company as well. I think I've got their heights marked out over the last 10 years on the wall in my office, and I think it'd be awesome if they did.
Sure.
But again, it has to be something that they love, because if you don't love it, I mean, it's really demanding. I mean, there's, you know, the fact we could meet today was great, because I'm literally basically not back until the end of March.
Wow.
And you know, so having someone in a family who understands that, you know, I dated my wife for 5 years before we got married. We'll be married 20 years in April, so I'm very excited about that.
Yeah.
But she's been with me the whole time, so she knows this crazy place and this industry, and my kids know it, so I think they're just like I knew it. My dad, when he was a tankerman, he'd be gone for, you know, a month and a half in summer, and that was just it. So you had a big to-go party when he left, and then when he came back, you had a big celebration, and Mom had the list of, you know, all the whoopings you were gonna get for she had saved them up. So I think it's tough that if they don't, you know, I would love for them to be in it.
Sure.
But if they don't love it, then I would say you gotta find something you enjoy.
Yeah.
You know, and I hope they go to the U. I mean, I think the entrance requirements are getting tougher and tougher now.
Yeah.
Very, very competitive. It was not quite so when I went there.
Same here.
And it was interesting. I went down to the Pac-12 championship game.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. So that was a blast. And I went down,
great.
and I took my 2 oldest boys with my dad and my brother, and we had an extra day, a little bit extra time. So I took my oldest. I said, while we're down here, let's just go take a look at a college campus, because you see the UW, and I said, but he doesn't get to travel all that much. So I thought, when we're out, let's go. I just want to get him kind of, you know, acclimated or just interested in kind of comparing. So we went to Santa Clara University, which was a beautiful campus, you know, and it was kind of neat to see him walk around. But you know, it was a little bit bittersweet, because I'm like, well, yeah, but you know, it's a small campus, and it's not the University of Washington. It's a wonderful school, you know, absolutely. And you know, and he was, you know, he didn't have any affinity one way or the other, but just the thought that he's starting to spool through ideas on what he might want to do is exciting, and you know, I won't completely disown him if he wants to go home. I will if he goes to Oregon. I've told him that it's, you know, we're putting away a little bit of money to help you out with school, but it also comes with a couple of strings.
Save it by house.
It's still a little too raw in certain places, so.
I know with my kids, I've got a daughter at Western, and I've got a 15-year-old, and you know, say, if you don't go here, and if you're going to go out of state, how about maybe University of Hawaii?
Yeah, exactly.
UC San Diego, have someplace warm with a beach, maybe. How about that?
Yeah, we joke about that as well. I think my son he said he wants to go someplace warmer. I'm like, that's fine. Just go far south.
South, right?
Yeah.
Not east, not
And warm is not Pullman.
Right, and I always say, skip the state below us.
Yeah.
You just fly over, and then.
Exactly. No, I'm of the same ilk.
Good. Well, I can't thank you enough for your time.
Well,
This
you.
has been just fascinating. Right at the moment, I don't know exactly what, when, how this is going, but you know, we're hard at work. We're just about to start. We have started production on our issue that comes out in early March.
Oh, good deal.
But this is just fantastic, and again, I'm so thankful for your time.
Thanks for taking the time.
And
if you have any questions or anything comes up, or if you have some other ideas, because I think there might be an interesting tie to just the maritime trade in general. I mean,
exactly.
Just a broader kind of, hey, this is what we represent this region, and there's a lot of ties to the university, I can imagine.
Exactly, so I thought, that's what I'd like to develop, and so I'll be back in touch with you later on, so there's not a timing crunch issue,
No
anything
worries.
like that. And also, the way I work is, once we do interviews and everything, we draft a story, we send it to you, so nothing will be a surprise to you.
Oh,
So
good.
if you have changes, something's not, that is your opportunity
Okay.
to set things right, so,
Oh, perfect.
so, like I said, nothing will be a surprise to you, and, yeah, so.
Well, we're usually, we're okay with surprises, that's half of our business.
Oh, I bet.
But perfect, well, thanks for the time, I appreciate you
Oh,
coming down.
thank you.
I'm glad we got a chance to chat, and like I said, if anything we can do help out with, let me know. Cause I think it's a wonderful, number one, it's a great magazine.
Oh, thank you.
As I've
very
gotten
much.
older, it's meant a lot more to me than in those early days when it was,
Yeah,
a recyclable.
sure.
And it's neat to see that, and I think there's a neat story
I do
potentially
too.
with not necessarily global or commercial diving, but just the maritime trade and how it.
Exactly.
There might be a lot of parallels with the university itself.
Absolutely, and, look at the importance of
Right.
this to this area, not just now, but for the future.
And that is a huge promotion that I know that we in the industry are trying to promote and work with
Right.
the port. And there's always an ongoing effort to really allow our residency to understand that all those boats moving back and forth and all those pilings and all those piers and those cranes and all that, there's a huge support structure and huge impact it has on this region that it somewhat goes unnoticed. I mean, I remember when the APL China
Yeah,
in November
right,
toppled, they had all those cans, there was delays in people for holiday shopping.
of course.
And you go, well, that stuff, how do you think all this stuff gets here?
Exactly.
I mean, and everyone's going, where's all the commercial goods? And you're like, well, if everything's humming along, you never notice anything. But if there's a problem, like right there, I remember we worked on that project for a long time and trying to unbuckle all those cans. I mean, it was,
Oh, that must,
it was an interesting project, but but you go, you've made it in a microcosm, people understand, well, what do you do? Well, you know why you don't have any of those,
Right. exactly.
new outfits at REI and there's no Sanyo products on the
Mhm.
Best Buy shelf? It's because they're all in these cans that are
Yeah.
destroyed and toppled, and oh yeah, that makes sense.
Exactly, and
So
so
it's
the ability to be able to connect the dots and say,
That's
hey, you see this, well,
Right.
this is, and this is where the role of all this comes from making that happen.
Right.
That you have no idea about, and that you shouldn't have it yet, I mean,
Yeah.
but this is how it gets there.
Right
So-
now, and it happens all the time, because obviously the only time that we are promoting that, but then when there are these big events, it's like when we had the Arctic drill rig here,
Yep.
right? I mean, and again, we can all have our opinions about the usefulness of or long-term forecast on E&P work with oil, but that's one of many. I mean, it was here, a year earlier, and
Yeah.
Todd Shipyard's getting retrofitted to the tune of
Yeah.
$75 or $100 million. Not a single, all that work, all that
Yeah,
economic activity that was brought here. It's just interesting to kind of think about that. It's there's always a centerpiece, and like I said, we're clicking along all the time. The cruise ship industry, that's grown immensely since I've
oh,
been here.
gosh, yeah.
And it's interesting for people to try to connect that, make those connections, like you said, with the populace to understand that, no, there's a lot of goods and commerce that's being conducted right under our noses that we typically forget about when you're trying to, convert a commercial pier into, high rent condominiums. Those are long-term implications that we need
That's
to be
right.
sensitive to. So,
Yeah, I know. Where are you going on your trip?
I gotta go to London on Monday.
Really?
Yeah, we have where a lot of our underwriters and our insurances
Oh,
are back
sure.
there. So, and then we have some clients that I'll just drop in on and say hi to. But
Mm-hmm.
London next week, and then Long Beach. We've got a partner that we're doing some work with down in Long Beach for Monday and Tuesday. So I'll be back late next week for a couple of days, and then
Wow.
So London's a fun trip because it's London.
Yeah. Well, it sure sounds like you lead a pretty darn exciting life.
Well, everyone here does. It's
Yeah.
There's never a dull moment.
No, never.
Thanks, John.
Oh, thank you, Devin, I really appreciate it.
We'll find, I think Jerry's back here.
Oh, that's right.
Anything else? Is that it?
That's it. That's a wrap.